Hello, and welcome back to the D&H Solutions Lab. With you once again, my name is Matt Allison, Microsoft Technical Advisor, and I'm thrilled to be here because I get to announce for you D&H's Device as a Service program. Now, last month we discussed the importance of simply having a device refresh for both yourselves and your customers. We talked about the benefits of a unified environment, all running the same updates and managed by the latest in cloud management. These benefits at face value are great, but the reality is that resellers such as yourself are often forced to choose between high priority objectives like simply keeping existing hardware running and proposing new solutions, such as a mobile readiness strategy or suggesting new product rollouts. The challenge here is clear. Buying, deploying, and supporting new hardware is becoming an expensive and antiquated cycle that is difficult to maintain, let alone grow. To solve this, many companies are turning to a Device as a Service program, or DaaS. DaaS offers the potential to streamline the way that you acquire, manage, and deploy technology. By leveraging DaaS, you can start to focus on more strategic, high-margin projects while allowing your DaaS partner to manage the full life cycle of the device. Everything from procurement to the services, and then to the eventual removal and recycling of those devices. In other words, DaaS enables you to accomplish more with less effort. Now, Device as a Service should not be confused with another DaaS that you'll hear quite frequently, which is Desktop as a Service. Now, despite their matching acronyms, the two are actually notably different. Desktop as a Service delivers a data center-based, highly secure, virtualized desktop experience. You access this desktop experience remotely on a wide range of devices, anything from your desktop and your notebook to even a phone. Device as a Service, however, delivers the hardware itself. But instead of purchasing the devices up front, a contract with a term limit of 2 or 3 years is agreed to, and annuity payments are made monthly in a lease of the hardware. Now, all Device as a Service plans vary slightly, but the real distinction of the program is that they include services, including things like technical support, and then the eventual end-of-life recycling or replacement of the device itself. Now, some of the benefits of this program are very clear and obvious, but others not so much. For example, simply shifting your customers from a capital expense model to OpEx is a key reason why many companies, even those with large IT departments, are considering DaaS. Instead of the high cost of purchasing PCs as part of an upfront capital expenditure, the as-a-service model lets a company shift that ongoing cost over to their operating expense side of the ledger. This helps drive cost stability for both you and your customers. And instead of trying to forecast the need, the compute needs that your customer will have for the next few years, they are now built in through regular hardware refreshes. The upside here is to not only have a more reliable understanding of when your customer will need this hardware, but also the potential to reverse the ongoing trend in our industry towards these ever longer device life cycles, and leaving devices in the field that are, quote, good enough. This shift in how your customers budget for their IT needs is actually a key element to understanding the benefits of all monthly services that you can offer. To illustrate this compute capacity versus cost dynamic to which I'm referring is best demonstrated like this. Now, traditionally, when a VAR provides a quote for an update, that reseller is forced to predict where their customers' IT needs will take them in, say, 5 to 7 years. This estimated increase in their compute requirements is represented here by this dotted line. Now, based on this prediction, a solution is quoted to your customer and traditionally would require a large upfront investment, represented here by this, as you can see, stepped line. However, as you well know, An estimation of the customer's IT requirements is exactly that. It's an estimate. Often due to things that can't be foreseen, like employee turnover or seasonal business, your customer may not utilize the added compute power that, for some time after they've invested in that equipment. To represent their actual demand, we're going to add in this fluctuating red line. So the customer now has a large capital investment, which brings their compute and storage capabilities to here. But check out this gap. Check out the space between where their compute capabilities and their demand are. This is the sort of situation where the customer has predicted their needs as far outweighed what their actual demand is. And this can often be considered a loss from the end user's perspective. For this period of time, their decreased demand has resulted in essentially a wasted cost that could have been invested in other IT resources. But now, consider the flip side. Perhaps the opposite happens. Let's say the customer's IT requirements suddenly increase way beyond what was estimated. You then run into the potential opposite effect, where the resulting lack of required compute power could wind up causing issues or errors within the existing environment, or even worse. If the speed at which the customer would need to acquire this new product isn't met, the end user could easily go somewhere else and buy the equipment, and that could be a lost customer. The answer to this problem is introducing your customer to the as-a-service programs that you offer. With things like cloud-based software and a device-as-a-service offering, you can offer the flexibility to adjust their infrastructure on demand. This saves your customer money, freeing up their budget for perhaps some of those back burner projects that they've been kicking around for years. Now, shifting how your customer pays for their IT needs can open up new opportunities for your company to grow as well. Additionally, this sales method helps to reduce things like a lengthy bidding process and negotiating. OpEx is just simply a lot easier from a financial perspective to manage. And since you're attaching a series of critical services, your customer is much less likely to go anywhere else for additional services that you yourself can offer. Now, another benefit to consider is a high level of support. Now, a true DaaS service, such as the one that we offer here at D&H, includes a support plan to help alleviate the need to provide that support yourself. You can now focus on expanding your business and contacting those customers and keeping your employees productive while you leave it to your DaaS partner to provide the tedious support for some of your end users. Now, going along with that, the rate of obsolescence is another factor I'd ask you to consider. With a DaaS program, your customer is much less likely to have any outdated equipment in the field. This makes the actual support of their infrastructure that much easier, since now you can use the latest in cloud and device management for everything that you have in the field. Now, one of the more, potentially overlooked, but I would say key factors for a lot of your customers out there is asset disposal. The disposal and recycling of the replaced devices continues to be a key challenge for most of our customers. You may have experienced this yourself if you've done any device refreshes in the last few years. Too often, especially in non-regulated companies, old PCs end up simply just stashed in desk drawers or left out or put in a closet and forgotten about. And often, they will be full of company data. A DaaS model ensures that, first of all, that the devices are collected, but also that they're wiped of all sensitive data at the end of that term and disposed of properly, whether that means they're resold as a refurbished item or they're recycled at a proper facility. But the other side of that coin is the benefit to you and your customer for having the latest devices in place on a regular rotation. As I mentioned, this rate of obsolescence in our industry continues to accelerate at a meteoric pace. It's getting increasingly difficult for companies who want to keep their systems on the cutting edge to stay there. And staying ahead of that curve has a huge benefit for you as well. As companies' IT can quickly become fragmented, by implementing technologies and devices that they need, instead of adhering to a rollout schedule. By introducing customers to a regular rotation of the latest devices and services, it should prevent this from occurring and make maintenance and support of all aspects of their infrastructure that much easier for you to maintain. And that leads me to what is probably the most important benefit for each of you watching this. That is the regular communication and interaction that you will have with your customer. This interaction develops a special relationship, one where you can position yourself as their primary source for all of their hardware and software needs. This helps to develop what they call customer stickiness. Now, this stickiness exists in practically every market out there, but it is especially important in our industry. Now, traditionally, it has been difficult to create this level of stickiness with our customers, since often, as I've mentioned, end users will purchase hardware from one source, maybe software from another, then perhaps, say, when someone is looking to upgrade some facet of their environment, they'll just call the next one that looks nice. And this hodgepodge of devices and sources eventually ends up fragmenting their environment, making it virtually impossible to manage it from a single location or a single user like yourself. Remember this. The point of all of this is that you are working towards becoming your customer's exclusive source for all of their IT needs. This way, you will no longer miss out on additional opportunities when someone in their sales staff gets wind of a new customer management software or something that they want. You are now the first and only number that they call when they're looking for new software or new hardware. So we have established the importance clearly of positioning yourself as the customer's trusted IT advisor, and how by presenting your customers with this ongoing service, specifically by replacing their systems with a DaaS model, you help to develop that close relationship. Well, let's get into some of the specifics surrounding D&H's Device as a Service program. So, first things first, device selection. So this program offers a huge selection of devices. It's basically everything that you can buy at D&H, from notebooks to tablets to desktop PCs. It must simply be a client device running Windows. Now, right now we are partnered with HP, Lenovo, Dell, and Microsoft, but we continue to add qualifying vendors all the time. But to be clear, this doesn't exclude any other devices. If you have a customer that's specifically looking for, say, an Acer device or an Asus notebook, give our DaaS team a call and they will absolutely work out a contract for those devices as well. You can reach them at daas@dnh.com. So I wanted to give you a representation of an assortment of devices that are simply pre-qualified for the DaaS program. Qualifications are very, very simple. Basically everything is qualified. We just want to make sure that it's a current product, that there's going to be inventory, at least moving forward for a little while, in order to make sure we can take care of advanced replacement and things like that. But if it's been a while since you've seen any of the latest generation of devices, let's just take a quick minute here to look at what they offer. The majority of devices, especially mobile devices nowadays, are going to provide you with things like an infrared camera. They're going to provide other biometrics, for example, a fingerprint reader. These two devices are something that can be utilized with Windows 10 and Windows Hello. This is a high level of security for simply logging on, and it makes it really, really simple because you no longer need to remember any passwords. Each of these devices that we're showing on display today, they are all running at least an i5s. Most of them are running i7s in either the 8th or 7th gen Intel CPUs, and not a single one of them weighs over 3.5 pounds. Some of these weigh around 2.5 pounds. They're tiny, and I believe the Dell as well. They will flip. They will be a convertible model back to a tablet design. And then in the world of Microsoft, with, for example, this Surface Book, the screen itself, which is the tablet, disconnects from the hard metal keyboard. Now, I mentioned that we have a list of pre-qualified devices that we can provide you, and that you will see as you're browsing our website. You may come across an icon like this. Now, each item that you find with this icon next to it is DaaS ready. In other words, it's been pre-qualified that this is a model that'll be around a little while, and we're happy to sell it to you in the DaaS program. That said, we can pretty much include any device in this program as long as it is a client device and it is running Windows. At this time, we're not going to be doing any server. Now, you've decided on the device. So what's next? The procedure then is fairly simple and straightforward. First, you're going to want to contact your sales rep or contact directly to our DaaS specialist at the information right here. Now, after you have determined the quantity that you need and what margin you would like to make, you then provide that end user cost with all of your services and everything wrapped in to the DaaS specialist or your sales rep, and they will provide you with a quote designed for the end user. Simply, you just select the term length. At this time, we offer 2 or 3 year leases. Now, if the quote looks good and you're ready to place the order, then if you haven't already, we'll ask you to create a DaaS sub-account. This sub-account is connected directly with the organization that will handle those monthly payments. Now, even though your customer pays for this monthly, here's the good news. As soon as the contract is signed, you are paid your commission up front for the entire contract. That includes what margin you're going to make on the device, that is again determined by you, as well as anything that you are charging for the services you're offering. This is something very similar to something like an assignment of funds, with one important distinction. Your end user sends their monthly payments directly to the financier, whereas the only time that you will interact with them is initially when you receive the upfront payment. Now, this takes the entire process of handling the money off of your shoulders and allows for more time to develop and for relationship building. This mentality continues through to the support of the item as well. As I mentioned, support is included with all DaaS solutions. All hardware troubleshooting issues and defective returns are handled by a third-party support organization. But listen, you are welcome to help facilitate this exchange from soup to nuts. It is absolutely your prerogative to get as involved as you like. But the point here is that you no longer have to be involved. You can now expand the reach of your business by simply leveraging these services and these support options for customers that, let's say, perhaps aren't geographically near you or aren't part of your target demographic. Again, the purpose behind all these as-a-service services is to expand what you offer while not necessarily increasing your workload. Now, once the credit is approved, your order is sent to the fulfillment and acquisition company, and the devices are shipped out. So this process was designed with the reseller in mind. As I said, we want to make sure that you have the time to expand your business while offering more and more services than ever before. So we are now offering, in addition to the DaaS services, custom asset tagging and configuration and imaging of all the devices as well. Now, there's an additional fee associated with any of those services, so please be sure to ask for those details when you're getting a DaaS quote. But since this process is new to everyone, if you have a particular opportunity that requires a certain level of configuration or imaging or asset tagging or something that isn't necessarily named ahead of time, let us know. A lot of those options are something that we can work directly with the companies that are going to do that, and perhaps we can arrange something for you. Okay, so the product has been delivered, and you've had it asset tagged as well as imaged, and everything was delivered. It was installed on time, and your customer is super happy. They have been dealing with the support company now for the last, say, year worth of support issues, and suddenly your customer calls you up and says they have an unexpected loss of business and is now forced to downsize. They now no longer need some of the devices that they had leased for 3 years. As part of the D&H DaaS program, we are proud to also offer the Flex Up, Flex Down option. So in the described situation, you'd be exercising the Flex Down option. The customer has too many devices for the number of users that they now have, so reach out to your sales rep, and depending on the quantity, we will accept those unused devices back. Now, as I mentioned originally, the commission for you, the reseller, is paid to you initially as the contract is written. What is really great about the flex down option is even though the customer is returning these devices for a return, it is affecting your end user's monthly amount that they owe as part of the program. You do not need to pay back those commission dollars that you would have earned comparatively. So it's a win-win for you. This process does not affect the original contract either. You still have the original end date, and that way you can continue with the same rollout schedule that you have with that customer. Of course, this is a huge benefit to customers and can be something that you advertise when you're discussing this service with them. Now that leaves the flex up option. Now this one is much easier, but no less valuable. The idea here is that at any time after the first 3 months of the contract, we can add additional devices to the existing contract, again, without affecting the original end date. This can be an asset as it keeps your customer on that same refresh schedule and keeps contracts with your customer simple and organized, while being flexible enough to work with your customer's changing environment. Now, what if you have a customer that is outside the geographic area that you typically are able to support? And let's say they have a device refresh opportunity that requires a hands-on replacement and installation of those devices. Great question. Fortunately, we have another add-on service to get you covered there as well. The acronym IMAC/D. It stands for Install, Move, Add, Change, or Deinstall. And it is an optional additional service that you can leverage from the same company covering the support on these DaaS services. Essentially, they will take the installation and all the hands-on configuration of the devices out of your hands completely. And they act, again, as an extension of your company. This allows you to expand your company's reach exponentially. Now, of course, just like the device support that comes with all DaaS contracts, you can stay as involved or not as you choose during this entire process. This doesn't need to be a complete handoff. This is an additional resource for you to leverage. Now, finally, in our hypothetical solution that we've been describing here, we are now at the end of our term, and soon your customer's next device refresh is coming up. This now is a big opportunity. Now you should stay in communication with them as you help them decide what their next device will be, wrapping in additional services, of course. Once the decision is made, contact D&H and we'll start the process over again with a brand new contract. Meanwhile, the third-party support group will initiate contact, or you can do this, you can facilitate this as well. Once again, it's flexible in every case. But the point is to get those old devices back. Of course, it is recommended that the customer removes any of the sensitive information that they might have themselves. However, just to let you know, their devices, once received, will have a data wipe performed, a hardware check is initiated, and then all of this is followed by a factory reset. This is with the idea that once the contract is fulfilled, they are able to, resell these devices as refurbs or, whatever the case might be. Now, there are options to extend the lease in the case where the customer doesn't wish to return their devices. But for details on that, please contact us at daas@dnh.com. Now, keep in mind, this program is still in its infancy. We will continue to evolve it and grow with it. The primary responsibility of a program such as this should not change, though. The support and the device recycling are elements ubiquitous with a proper DaaS program. So just expect them to get stronger and more robust and more defined as we move on. If you have any questions, though, if you have any suggestions, please contact us once again at DaaS, that's DAAS @dnh.com. We want to work with you on this to make sure that we're providing you with the best possible program. And we can't do that without feedback from you. So the goal of this DaaS program and a device as a service program in general is to deliver simplicity, but not make it look simple. To be able to offer a complex and complete solution without having to carry that entire load yourself. And to do so with customers and regions previously thought outside of your ability to work them. That effort begins with the contract. Hardware, software, and services all lumped into a single contract, all from a single source, D&H. Remember, this will benefit you by reducing your overall expenses, reducing your IT workload, and expanding your customer reach, and ultimately allow you to provide better service to your customers. We're excited to get this started with you, but can only imagine that you have a couple of questions. So I'm going to wrap up here, but immediately following this, we're going to tackle as many of those questions as we can get to in our live Q&A. So please stay tuned for that and present us with all those questions. But if you have any questions that you'd like to take offline, or if you're watching this video on demand, please go ahead and email us at daas@dnh.com for the DaaS team. You can email me directly at mallison@dnh.com, and we will see to make sure to get back to you as soon as we can. Until next time, have a great day.